Hello and welcome back once again to another episode of Neil Does Not Know What He's Doing. Today we are trying to do a final install on the center console on the floor. Big difference, we'll get to that in a second. In Lumpy, the 1967 Ford Mustang. The reason I say there's a big difference between the floor center console and the ceiling center console. Yeah, we're not messing with the ceiling. So let me show you what we're doing. Alright, so to start with, let me take this off. Come on. There we go. The T-bar here has a little teeny tiny set screw. Ah, crap. Didn't mean to do that. So the set screw is a 3/32 Allen, and you just loosen it, it comes right off. If you need to shift, which you will, you just mess with this. Anyway, I don't know if it was a previous owner or somebody else, had made a custom one of these center sliders out of scrap plastic. It was actually pretty good. The brushed metal was missing, so I ordered a new one which came extra weathered. Thank you very much for that. And all you've got to do is put this in here. There's little tracks, and then over this. What I didn't know until I started messing around was these little feet here go right in there and right in there. I've also attached the courtesy bulb, I think is what they call it, that goes in the back of the... So that's where we're at right now. I have old parts, I have new parts, none of them match up. Somebody took some photos online of them putting in a aftermarket console, so I'm using that as my guideline because nobody else seems to know much of anything. It's a little irritating, but hey, maybe this video will help somebody out there. So, back to work. I had to reuse some old parts, such as this screw, which is a longer screw, and this screw, which is a shorter screw. These three are a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger. This one's a little bit skinnier. They're all coarse thread. There's only 3 of these little square rectangle doodads that seem to hold this black shifter plate into the underside of the console. As usual, I don't know if it's right or not, but it's locked in there. It seems to fit. I've not tried shifting it yet. Seems to be okay. Let's see if I can get the plate on here, and then we will get to work with everything else. I didn't show you. I have no idea where this light goes, so it's just kind of gonna sit under there for lack of a better spot. I did hook up the wires underneath. There were 2 wires in the back, just single terminal poles, I don't know what you call them, and what looked like a ground. The ground I attached to what looked like the right spot here. The 2 terminals went into this long piece that the light's attached to. There were 3 holes and 2 poles. You can't see that. 3 holes, 2 poles. I just guessed. Probably guessed wrong, but it doesn't surprise me when it comes to electrical because I don't know anything about electrical other than don't get electrocuted. And the new replacement came with these little The new replacement came with these little nuts that have a hole to put the screw through. I don't know what they're for. Didn't come with instructions, so I couldn't find any good use for them, so I'm not going to use them. So there's a little tab here underneath. On this plate, what you've got to do is slide that in first, and then gently push, and it should fit okay. And then there's 2 screws that go in up here, and you're getting there. Oh, I forgot to show you that replacement piece I got. This was the handmade version, which is pretty nice. I mean, there's some beveled edges, fairly smooth cuts, perfect size, perfect thickness. I have no idea what he took it out of, but it worked. Alright, so I put 2 screws in here. I use the ones that have a flat bottom on the head, and then 2 screws up here. I use the shiny ones because that made sense, the short ones. Now the tricky part is there's 4 of these screws that go into the console, or through the console into basically the floor pan, and as with everything else with the carpet, use an awl or an ice pick, whatever you want to call it, to find that hole in the floor pan and then put the screw in. Don't use a drill. You'll end up pulling a thread. So far, 3 out of 4, I've been lucky and have not pulled a thread, just screwing them in with brute force. Alright, let's get after it. Alright, so you can see here these front screws. Come on, there we go. These front screws kind of go more at an angle in versus up and down like the ones in the rear. And I forgot to tell you, don't over tighten these screws because you will crack this little teeny tiny plastic piece here, which is going to be next to impossible to repair without replacing this whole thing, which is mighty darn expensive. And I can already tell you I've got a nice crack forming right there. I need to loosen these some. Well, it's in there. We'll see how it actually rides. Biggest concern right now is the lights. I have no idea if they work because I don't know if I actually plugged up the wires correctly. It is what it is. It's in there. I know how to take it out. I know how to put it in. At least I know how I put it in. Don't necessarily know if it's the right way, but it's in there. I do have a crack that I'm concerned about, and there's not really a whole lot you can do about it other than when it does crack all the way, take it out and use some epoxy on it. Anyway, as I was saying, it's in here. I know how it goes in. I know how to take it out if I need to. The important thing is it's in there and it's not floating around my garage, and no smoking in my car. But there you have it. I think we'll call this Docking Bay 94 maybe. That's it. Thanks for watching. As always, we'll see you next time.